Hi guys, thanks for joining. We should be with you in a couple of minutes. Hi everyone, welcome to the latest edition of Sky Betting and Gaming's Virtual Career Spotlight. I'm sure most of you will be aware, but for anyone who isn't, we are one of the UK's leading betting and online gaming businesses. Based out of Yorkshire, we've got offices in Leeds and Sheffield, and also one in Solihull. Our teams design, build, and maintain products such as Sky Bet, Sky Vegas, Sky Poker, Sky Casino. Our Virtual Career Spotlight series focuses on different teams from across each business area. And it's your opportunity to hear from our experts and their story about their sort of time and how they've sort of joined the Sky Bet business. So some initial housekeeping before I introduce today's speakers. So we want this to be an interactive session, so we do encourage you to ask questions. Towards the end of the session, I will try and read out as many as I can as well. So to ask a question, you just need to be signed into your YouTube account and simply add your questions to the comment section. The session will be recorded as well, so you will be able to watch back at a later date if you wish to do so. So today's spotlight is with some of our brand and creator team for our gaming brands. So to introduce you all to everyone who's listening, I guess it's probably best to start with what you do. So I'll introduce you guys. Jono, do you want to introduce yourself? How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Cheers for the invite, Dan. So yeah, looking forward to chatting through a few bits. So yeah, I'm Jonathan Lloyd. I'm the head of brand and creative on the gaming side of the business, and I've been with Sky Betting and Gaming for almost 3 years now.
Cool, good. Chris, are you there? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, Dan, you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Do you guys, I guess where to start? So I guess, Johnny, you sort of gave a bit of an introduction to what you do, but how long have you been with the business and what attracted you to sort of SBG?
Yeah, like I said, I've been here about 3 years now. And I guess the first thing that attracted me to SBG was a reputation, really. I think obviously with anything with Sky in the name is a reputable business. I'd worked in brand and marketing for probably about 12, 13 years before I joined SBG. And it really seemed like a good opportunity to have some autonomy and to really make a difference on some pretty big brands. I think obviously the culture of Sky Betting and Gaming's renowned, you know, in terms of our Glassdoor ratings and, you know, kind of feedback from past and present employees, kind of tipped it over the edge for me. I think I'd never worked in the gambling industry before, but obviously I've been working in brand and marketing for a while, and it just felt as though it was a good stretch opportunity. And also the marketplace that SBG operates in is extremely competitive. And I think for anybody with, you know, kind of an interesting brand, that's a big challenge, because it's about, you know, kind of cutting through. And often as a market leader, the biggest challenge is maintaining that. That's often much more difficult than getting to the top in the first place. So yeah, it felt like a big challenge, a good opportunity, and a good support network with good people around me.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, how about yourself? Because you joined as a freelancer, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, did a fair stint of it, to be fair. But so I had like a bit of when I was freelancing, and then an opportunity opened up to go full time. Great. Basically, sort of tools really focused on creative ideation and seeing it all the way through, you know, to fulfillment. So, but yeah, I work with Jono on the gaming side as well. So I guess you know.
Oh, Chris, your reception is not great. I don't know whether it's my side or your side.
I was freelance as well. It's probably my side.
We can never do a career spotlight without any some sort of technical issue. It's usually my Wi-Fi. So
I'll let me see if I can connect to my 4G. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we'll move the spotlight onto Jono for a little bit whilst you're sorting that out.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I guess Jono. So obviously you focus on sort of the gaming side. So we've got so many brands within that: Sky Vegas, casino, poker. How do you find the time to manage so many, I guess, big brands really? How is the team sort of set up to ensure we're sort of spreading the resource, I guess, evenly across all of those big brands?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think this probably highlights the strength of SBG. I think as brand and creative experts, what we aren't kind of here to do is to do all the implementation. I think that we sit centrally to the gaming business and the bet business, and we almost provide the inspiration and the support for people to live our brands for us. I think we don't take ownership necessarily of anything that we do. I think what we do is just provide an opportunity for channel owners, you know, whether it's CRM or social or marketing propositions, to really get hold of what that brand is and implement it. So definitely the onus isn't all on us. I think our responsibility is to make sure that each of the brands operating in their respective spaces have got a clear tone of voice, they've got a clear look and feel, and really represent what customers are looking for. And I guess the biggest task that we've got is almost sharing our passion for what those brands stands for with those channel owners, so they feel equipped to manage them for us. I think clearly, you know, kind of Sky Vegas being the UK's most popular online casino is our biggest brand, and probably does take quite a lot of the work up. But, you know, kind of we've got equal affection for, you know, the likes of poker, lotto, bingo, casino. But we just empower other people, and I think that's the way that we manage our time. I think in terms of, you know, kind of the day-to-day work, you know, kind of the concept development, we'll take a business brief from other parts of the business and develop out a high-level concept. We'll work with stakeholders at every single step of the way. Everyone's got the say, and really, it's we do the ideation and almost the inspiration, and then just pass that over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. And I know. So we've got quite a unique sort of team set up in that we have our own sort of in-house creative team. So I mean, what are the main advantages of having that sort of in-house team, you know, with you sort of day in, day out?
I'm guessing my 4G's working then, Dan. Yeah, you can hear me now.
Back in the room.
I won't tell you who my internet service provider is. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think like having the sort of team in house, there's no sort of like learning about the brand, because we sort of know everything and anything about the brand before we even tackle a brief. There's no like, I think agencies can sort of like trip up, or at least like you can slow them down before they tackle a brief. But yeah, they're sort of our babies, really, in a weird way. But that's, yeah, as real as I can make it sound, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Chris. That I think being closer to the business challenges, being closer to the conversations commercially that are happening day in, day out, we're always up with the context of where our brands need to be and what our campaigns need to say. And that allows us to, we're pretty much at the coalface the whole time. That allows us to make tweaks, that allows us to, kind of challenge some thinking as well that perhaps agencies couldn't. But that's not to say that there isn't a role for agencies. They're absolutely vital for any big organisation. It just so happens that the evolution of the work that we've done on some of our bigger brands has given us the confidence, and kind of this is with a lot of respect to the agencies, such as Crow, for instance, that helped with the Sky Vegas brand proposition work a couple of years ago, did a fantastic job. They've really equipped us to be able to take hold of that now and push it forward as an internal team. And I think for a business as big as ours, I don't know if you feel the same, Chris, but so lucky to come into work every single day with that level of control and autonomy. And I think it just gives you so much more passion, because there are less barriers in the way, but there's also a greater responsibility on our shoulders too. And that's really inspiring as someone that's passionate about, kind of their field.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's a lot to be said as well for the type of people that work here as well. There's sort of like an abundance of talent, and I've always been told to sort of work alongside people who are better than you to keep you on your toes, and I think that's definitely true here. That was one of the things I wanted to say earlier before I cut out with my internet, but managed to wean it back in there.
And I guess because, John, I know you specifically have been on sort of both sides of the fence. You've been within advertising agencies and obviously been client side more recently. How easy was it to sort of make that switch?
Yeah, again, a really interesting question, and something that I think a lot of people working in agency or client side have asked themselves, kind of a lot. I think I've been very lucky with my, kind of my job history to date, that I've worked with some fantastic people across some really, really big agencies, but also some smaller agencies that are just absolute experts at what they do. So I feel as though my career path to date, particularly propaganda and other leads-based business a couple of years ago, a really good school in what good brand activity looks like and what good brand strategy is. That's given me almost, like say, two sides of the fence, a really well-rounded view, and almost, an agency view in-house, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
There's less grey hairs, or if that's even possible, it's just for men. But yeah, I'm getting less grey hair, kind of working on the client side of things as an agency. I think it's just a different kind of atmosphere, no better or no worse. It's just, kind of, again, I think when you're in full control of activity, that gives you a sense of calm, I think, and clarity. Whereas sometimes in agencies, I think it's very fast paced and, a fantastic environment to be in, but yeah, quite stressful.
There's nowhere to hide, is there?
Yeah.
In-house.
Yeah. Quite.
So I mean, I love the way we market our brands. But I guess as the industry, and there's so many big campaigns as well, but as the industry becomes more regulated, how do you guys work as a team to ensure our brands are acting responsibly in what is a really competitive marketplace?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to get your thoughts on this too, Chris, as someone that's more fresh to the industry. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that one of the things that attracted me to SBG was how genuine the focus on player safety was, and I think there's a strong desire to work with regulators, with the government, with organisations related to those at risk of problem gambling, to just make the industry as sustainable and as safe as possible. And we've got a very privileged and very important position as almost the gatekeepers to the creative that comes out of these businesses, to really act responsibly as a first port of call. And we should never pay lip service to the potential risk of gambling, but also not concede that for a lot of people it is a really enjoyable pastime. So it's always a balance to strike. But I think as long as you start in a position where player safety and acting responsibly is at the core of your fibre, I think, kind of that gives you almost a guiding light to make sure that we can stand up next to the work and be proud of it, and be proud that it's, kind of made customers enjoy their experience in a safe way. So it's almost day one of a brief is always about how do we ensure compliance are over this? How do we ensure the legal team are comfortable with this? And it's not about doing the bare minimum. At Sky Betting and Gaming, as market leaders, we go above and beyond regulation to make sure that we are safe, because, like I said, it's a massive responsibility, and one that we feel we can use to try and help shape the industry and not just ourselves.
Great answer.
You're trying to beat that, Chris?
I know. I should have gone first. I think there's just a case of like full transparency. When we try and, because obviously we want the market or advertising to be sort of as creative as possible, obviously without breaking the rules. But with that comes challenges, I guess, to make it as creative as possible. But we just make it the core of it being, responsible, not trying to trick the customer in any way or shape or form, and just being safe, transparent from the get-go, really.
Yeah.
Go on,
sorry. Yeah, I think fundamentally, and it is, kind of to coin a bit of a cliche, it is about doing the right thing. But as a group of individuals working on this, and not necessarily just representing Sky Betting and Gaming, I think you've got to use your own moral compass to ensure that, you can stand up next to your work and be proud of what you do. I think there's no hiding from the fact that, the gambling industry has been under the spotlight of the media quite a lot. And, it's a very complicated topic with lots of different stakeholders with different views. Kind of plotting a course throughout all that should only be, kind of guided by the right thing for the customer. And I think that should always come first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, good. And how, this might be a tricky question, but how do you make sure you keep those campaigns fresh and relevant in what is a more regulated, more competitive environment? How do you guys work as a team to ensure we do that?
Yeah, I think there's we rely heavily on a really talented research team, the CMU team, that give us almost that kind of that direct line with our customers. And I think that customer feedback is always something that we'll build into briefs. It's always something that we think about when we're developing scripts or developing brand positioning. All brand positioning should come from a place of truth. And that place of truth only comes from what customers want and our potential to offer that. And I think that's where you get your brand strategies from. It's not through just, kind of on a wing and a prayer, this is what we think we should do. It's all around what the opportunity is in the marketplace, what the customers are looking for. And you can only do that by having a direct line and continual kind of discourse with customers.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, I guess on that note, because you've both been with the business for a couple of years, sort of on and off, Chris, but Johnny, you've been with the business for a couple of years. What campaigns have you been sort of most excited about? What are you most proud of? I'll let you go first. Johnny's taking the limelight too much.
Again, I sort of joined in January. But I was sort of thrown in the deep end, really, sort of halfway through a project, a big campaign. So I sort of got like I say, it was the deep end. I was sort of on the shoots, sort of seeing it once the idea had been signed off, if you will. So I got to see how it was done, and then a couple of months later, I sort of started one from scratch, as it were. But it's one of those, like the sort of campaigns that came before I joined. I remember seeing them on TV before I even thought about working at Sky Betting and Gaming. I used to think, I remember thinking, wow, these guys know what they're doing. Whichever agency has done that is, genius. And then when I joined, I remember speaking to our lead designer, Chris Martin, and he told me that pretty much everything was done in-house. And I was like, what? You're kidding? It's amazing. And that was one of the selling points. So I have big boots to fill, really, I think.
How about you, Johnny?
I think just every time we get a campaign launched, knowing the work that goes into it and knowing the amount of stakeholders that contribute to its success is a massive achievement. I think we've got obviously the prize machine, which is a daily free-to-play game, which has been almost the cornerstone of our success in recent times. Every time that brief comes on, how do you remarket something and reposition something 5, 6, 7 times? We always find a way, and again, it's about other teams in the business that have done this, that find another interesting thing to talk about. But I think for a brand person, I was particularly proud of the way that we brought the King of the Unexpected, our brand character, to life, and what he represents and kind of what unique tone he gives us in the marketplace. And also campaigns that just celebrate winning at Sky Vegas. A lot of times I think the gambling industry's been seen as very direct response driven, and kind of sophisticated brand thinking wasn't really a part of our world up until 3-4 years ago. But going live on with a TV campaign around that winning feeling at Sky Vegas, that felt like a real achievement for the brand and creative team, because we've moved away from this world of direct response, which is just drive as much behavior as possible, into something much more long-term and sustainable, which is how do we build affection and how do we build affinity with a brand. And I think, kind of slowly but surely, the rest of the businesses kind of got on that journey as well, and believed that, yeah, we're market leaders. Yeah, we've got, more volume than anyone else in the market, but how do we sustain that? And we sustain that by allowing our customers to fall in love with us a little bit, and, kind of developing campaigns that allow them to do so. And that for me is the most exciting part of our jobs.
And is it difficult? Because I think I'm right in saying, so our target audience across the different brands are very different in gaming. Is that right? How difficult or easy is it to make sure we're positioning the brands in the right way to target those quite varied audience?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think there's clear daylight between some of the brands in the portfolio. Whereas some are slightly closer aligned, so Sky Vegas and Sky Casino, for instance. But I think as long as we're true to the propositions and make sure that they offer slightly different things, potentially to the same people, we see a lot of cross-sell from bet players that like to come through to bingo, for instance, which could be quite a surprise to some. We see a lot of crossover between casino and bet, for instance. So as long as we've got brand propositions in the market that cater for every single taste, we're quite happy if a customer wants to play on Vegas and casino at the same time. I don't feel the need for us to segment the customers to such an extent where it's almost excluding some people from certain brands. I think we just provide different accents and flavors from the different types of products we offer, and just allow the customer to make their own choice.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys play the game? That's one of the reasons why I like working at the business. I can relate to different products, not too much obviously, but do you guys play? Are you a bingo fan or Vegas or
Chris? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do like a bit of the horse racing festivals, really, just because I think, like, especially when we're in the office, like everyone just comes together, and we have tips of the day and whatnot like that. I think it's sort of really exciting. But in terms of like gaming, that's a bit more like me time, silo me time. But yeah, I like anything with a bonus round, basically. That's what I strive for, just to get to that top board.
Yeah, I do play a fair bit. It's just very kind of recreational. I set deposit limits and make sure it's all in the right space. And actually, I quite enjoy bingo products too. And I think that kind of the products that we offer, particularly the Vegas original content, like Chris said, bonus rounds and kind of a more gamified experience than a simple kind of spin of the slots. I think that's probably where the industry is going next, and that's pretty exciting. How do we provide more immersive and entertaining content? That's not just about the win line or the bonus. It's about kind of the whole entertainment piece. I think as a Sky brand, that's quite exciting for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. And I guess, Chris, you mentioned it. We touched on it earlier in terms of keeping campaigns sort of fresh and relevant. But as a lead creative, or as a creative within that studio, what are the main challenges you face? What are the sort of exciting parts of your role, and I guess keeps you engaged day to day?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess like one of the more like exciting things is sort of getting what's in my head down on paper and then present it to people and then seeing them get excited by it or really seeing it in their own mind is, you know, like priceless really, for me. That's just, it's really challenging as a creative person, but as for me to like articulate what's in my head, it can be like quite abstract, for instance, but selling it at its basic form is, it's all, you know, it's quite challenging. But yeah, definitely sort of rewarding. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Dan?
Yeah, no, it does. How about yourself, Jono? What keeps you engaged day to day?
I think it's the team, to be honest. I think it's the passion and enthusiasm that the team have got for what they do. You know, I'm probably one step removed away from the creative development. So, you know, kind of seeing the guys receive a brief and the thought process that goes into it, and you know, kind of a really strategic focus on answering that brief, and discussing it amongst themselves and getting energized by the challenges. Because, you know, I think you touched on it before around, you know, kind of in-house versus agency. One of the challenges is keeping hungry and keeping fresh. And, you know, the benefit of working in agency, you've got multiple clients with, you know, multiple challenges. I think there's a wrong, you know, kind of, or a misconception that, you know, kind of the work that we do here is you know, kind of fairly repetitive, but actually the nuances of the brief and the team absolutely, you know, kind of thrive on that. Is how do we make this thing that already exists even better? And yeah, just being in those kind of creative ideation sessions and first responses is great, because you see the brief and you see it come to life, but there's so much stuff that goes on before that, and that's the exciting bit.
Yeah. And how have you found that in lockdown? You know, the creative ideation sessions with, you know, I've seen you guys in rooms. There's been massive groups of you in one room. How have you found it with doing all this remotely?
I mean, I have really, really good internet connections, so
yeah.
We send him a letter, and then he'll send one back.
I think that's, to be fair, like going back to March, I was sort of really sort of apprehensive. I was like, oh God, I'm, you know, scared I'm going to be like isolated and not really sure what I was going to expect. But like looking back now, I'm so glad I joined a company like this. You know, I just think it's made it so much easier to be in this situation right now. You know, like we're in now. I think there's a lot to be said for the leadership team and everyone involved who's made the transition, a horrible transition, as good as it can be. Yeah, really, really impressive stuff.
I think, you know, kind of the underpinning everything is just good communication. And I think within the team, making sure that we're talking regularly, you know, kind of having forums where we can have a bit of fun as well. And perhaps, you know, kind of a bit of a learning is do that more. Because I think, you know, kind of it's very easy to kind of get sat in your in your office or in your front room and just think it's you. But the reality is a network of the team that's just at the end of a phone. And I don't think it stifles creativity necessarily, but I think the only challenge is just making sure that you keep talking as much as you do in the office. You know, me and Chris were talking the other day, and like you were saying, Chris, about the value of just being able to just chuck a bit of work over the desk. You know, like what's the virtual way of doing that? And I think that's, you know, as long as we, you know, whether it's using Jamboards or Slack or whatever it might be, just keeping that dialogue going. I think that's really important.
Yeah. I think it's like, sorry, Dan, I was just going to say, like the technology we have today, I mean, it's not exactly the same, is it? But it's as near as it can be, thankfully.
Yeah, no, I'd echo what you guys said. I think as a business guy, the communication has been great, and it sounds like most people have adjusted to it pretty well, which is a real positive. And I guess moving away from sort of coronavirus, what and hopefully, you know, we get back into some sort of normality. But and what are you looking forward to the most over the next sort of 12, 18 months in terms of what's on the roadmap that you're excited about? I'll ask Jono first this time.
Yeah.
I think that we obviously, as part of the Flutter group now, which is a really exciting, you know, kind of stage in the history of the business, and I'm really keen to see what we can learn from the other brands and the other colleagues that have joined the business. I think we're much stronger together, and I think there's going to be challenges along the way, but I think there's also opportunities for each individual brand within the group to learn from each other and to get stronger, and to the point on responsibility and safety before, kind of work as a collective to try and kind of protect both the integrity of the industry, but also our players as well. On an SBG level, I think there's some strategic work going on now that's probably the most thorough that I've ever seen, and that's saying something as well. Kind of we've become market leaders because we're so good at communicating and working together. But this year's plans are the best I've seen so far, and we'll join up product and marketing, along with the business objectives, content, CRM. It'll be unilateral, so I'm looking forward to seeing that come to life. Not the most exciting by the sounds of it, but
sounds good. Yeah, no, it does.
It's the foundations for future growth, I think.
How about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole, can change overnight, and I think that's one of the exciting things, and it brings new challenges, and it just doesn't become stale,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. And I guess final question for me actually, and it's really just advice. So how did you get into sort of brand marketing and design, and what advice would you give to someone who might be interested in forging a career in this area?
I'll go for that one if you want, John. Oh, yeah. I've sort of always been, I'd use the word obsessed, but it probably is the right word, with drawing and anything, that comes off that. It's probably why I did bad in some subjects that I lost interest in. I'd just be drawing on my book or whatever it was, instead of listening. But once I finished school, my dad sort of asked me, I remember him asking me what I wanted to do, whether I was going to go to college and whatnot. I said, he basically said, I said, I want to be an engineer like you, Dad. And he said, being an engineer it's like pushing buttons nowadays. He said, just go and do what you want to, you want to do. And that's why I sort of went on to college, university, and 18 years later, I'm sat at a desk pushing buttons. But it's. I think if you don't truly love it, you'll either give up or hopefully not hate it. And I think passion prevails. I think you've just got to love it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'd completely echo that. I think it's just having fun and enjoying yourself, and a career's a long time, but also I think there's a tendency to think that once you're in a career path, then you're stuck at it, and if you fall out of love with it, you're almost kind of handcuffed to it. But I started off doing journalism, and I use the term loosely. I wrote for a little bit, and enjoyed my time doing that, and kind of stumbled across brand marketing just taking an opportunity to work at Republic, an old fashion brand that really enjoyed my time there. But all my career, all I've tried to do is just try and find opportunities to learn, try and find opportunities to do things that I enjoy and work with people that I enjoy, and kind of enjoy the fruits of that, really. I think just again, not being too serious about stuff and just doing what you feel is right. And I think in terms of, specifically about brand, I just encourage people to, obviously knowledge before assumption is always good. Kind of do research, base your recommendations on insights and facts, but also be brave and, kind of think illogically and try and think in a completely four-dimensional way, because chances are, kind of if you think in a linear way and always look for insight, you're just following the same stuff that everyone else is going after. So be bold and brave and be passionate, I think.
Yeah, good advice. I think that's it for questions from me, actually. We don't have any questions from anyone else. Looks like everyone's too busy sunning themselves like you are, Charlie.
Yeah.
So, well, look, thanks, guys, for answering those questions. Really appreciate it, and hopefully everyone's found that sort of interesting and insightful. I definitely have. So, for anyone who does want to watch it again or wants to sort of listen to anything specific, it is available on YouTube after this, so you can look back on it. It will be on the Sky Bet Careers website as well, if you do want to have a look. But yeah, appreciate that, guys, and
thank you.
thanks to everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Cheers. See you